This day 322 of Zohar Pshat, fascinating Zohar today, as usual. We are on Daf Lamed Vav Amud Aleph, and we're at Rabbi Yossi, which is 9 lines from the top. Rabbi Yossi, last thing we already learned. The Pakile Kuchabicha Avodah Zarah, Kosh Baruch commanded Adam Rishon out of Avodah Zarah, the Chsiv Eitzav. Hashem Birchas Hashem, the word Hashem alludes to not cursing Hashem's name. Elokim Al-Din refers to court cases, justice. Adam on man, Ashvichas Damim, to murder Alem or Arias. Okay, so we had that already. But now the Rabbi Yossi is not happy with this. He says, how many people in the world do you Baruch Hu had to command Shem Mitzvahs Bnei Noach to Adam Rishon? The Shem Mitzvahs Bnei Noach for a reason. They're for Bnei Noach because there are a lot of people around. But at this point, there are not that many people, so all these commandments seem, okay, good to take in place. After all, it's for the future. But it doesn't seem that way, and therefore it says, Rabbi Yossi, I have a different shot. That all these things, yes, were commanded, but in an esoteric way, not in a tangible way, because people didn't exist, but rather all of them related to the Eitz Hadas. And this makes sense because the Eitz Hadas, the Chet of Eitz Hadas, we know, was a Chet, which was the cloud, which included all the Pratim of all the Chatoim which are going to take place throughout history, to some extent, because this was set the foundation for history, and was the result was the history resulted from it. So therefore, everything is included in the Nisayon and in the Avera of the Eitz Hadas. And that's, he says, the Elavade Kula al Hai Ilon Hava. Everything was going on this tree. Begin the Bei Achidon Koilim Pikudaya. In this tree, united all these commandments. Everybody takes them on their own, meaning eats an Eitz Hadas by itself. The Zohar before had said that you couldn't possibly eat from the Eitz Hadas together with the Eitz Hachaim. But if you had eaten by Eitz Hadas alone, so then that would be the Avera which Adam and Chava committed, and therefore they were even all these things in an esoteric way, not in a tangible way, but I guess we would say because it's also a spiritual way, when they ate from the Eitz Hadas. He separates it from the Eitz Hadas from its the necessary partners which it has, and takes it together with the populations below the Achilam Bay, which are connected to, in other words, all these bad things which these Averas represent, affected for all time all the populations below, which were contingent on the Eitz Hadas. As the Beis Shlaka says, if not for the fact that we should sin, we wouldn't exist. All populations for all time are contingent on the Eitz Hadas and on the eating from the Eitz Hadas. And with the eating of the Eitz Hadas, we took Avodah Zarah, Shvichas Damim, Gilei Arayos, we violated them in this way. Avodah Zarah being the Raved Mamanon. Avodah Zarah in those malachim which are in charge of the Eitz Hadas. In other words, that the Kosh Baruch Hu said, you don't go to them directly. You don't try and use these great koiches which are in this tree without connecting to me. The symbolism of the Eitz HaChaim connected to the Eitz Hadas. So by taking these koiches, these tremendous powers which are intrinsic in the Eitz Hadas, you're using those which are Rav Ramineh. It's as if you're worshiping those malachim as your deities, as your authorities, as opposed to submitting yourself to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Shvichus Damim by Hailon Atalion. Shvichus Damim is connected to this tree. It's on the side of Gvura. In other words, the Eitz Hadas Tova Ra. Ra includes death, and you, which is the side of Gvura, right? They're coming from the Kosh Baruch Hu's Gevuras in the world, and therefore you violated the Shvichus Damim. Samuel is Pekar Alda, and the Sam is, of course, in charge in this. In other words, he's from the Sitra de Kvura. It's all that stuff which represented by Esav, Shvichus Damim, is represented by the Sam. He's a Malcham Ovis. He's in charge of that. So therefore, by Ima Das, you violate Shvichus Damim for all the billions of people who are going to die throughout history. Because the Arias, Isha even to Soikre. That's the fascinating thing. The Eitz Hadas is feminine, and it's called a woman. The idea was, it was an amazing idea. Zohar was saying, that the idea is that the Eitz Hadas is not a mashpia, it's a mushba, and the mushba means, again, it's contingent on what it gets from its the Zohar, from the masculine, from the Kodesh Baruch Hu, giving to it the shefa. You're not supposed to take from the tree, from the Eitz Hadas, which is a woman, without being connected to the husband. And the Zohar looks at that as the prohibition of yichud. And so it says, you can't invite yourself, in other words, seclude yourself with a woman by herself, Elin Balo, unless her husband is present. Paskin Balo Be'ir is the definition. It has to be in the city. He brings it down here. For some reason, he brings down the Zohar from Ein Shalom Mishlom Isha, De Baila, or Kiddushin Daf Ayin, but also for Yichud. I thought somebody brought that down. Yeah, Dahlia brings it down. Kiddushin Pei Aleph, Bala Be'ir. So in any event, you can't. It was, so to speak, an Avev Gilei Arayos to eat from the tree without connecting to HaKadosh Baruch Hu in the right way. The law, you can't be a woman by herself unless husband's present. In order to not be suspect Gilei Arayos. And that Valda, and this came Bekuli's Baki by Elona, everything, all big three were in this tree. Became Lachaminei, what's he eat from it? Bekulu Avar, it's as if he violated all these prohibitions. They're all connected to the tree. Vade Milada, this is certainly correct. Hachi, who? This is the way it is. You can't be alone with a woman, meaning you can't take the feminine, which is supposed to receive, without the masculine, and say, oh, I'm going to just relate to all the advantages you get from that feminine without the masculine, without a Kodesh Baruch Hu's shefa to it. I'm going to be like God without the Elohim, right? You can't do that. And you can't baloima unless the husband is with it. Okay, now that's the end of that. This paragraph goes on to something else.